and it's live, and we're leaving demo mode.
Oh, we beating the video game today.
We are beating the video game today.
Hell yes.
Fuck.
I don't have a dad.
All the way through a video game.
I
We're
don't
gonna
have a
finish the fight.
dad or burgers to
fruity.
interrupt stream time this time. Although to be fair, the burgers were very good and were
would
worth.
you consider that a good thing, though?
I mean, I'm sad that there are no burgers, but I am also very excited to finish video game because I like this video game. Here's the thing: if this were, say, please, Spyro, you have to face the right way. You know, like a Kingdom Hearts time. If this was me playing Birth by Sleep again, I'd have been like, oh no, I have to go eat burgers instead of playing this game. It would have been fine, but
I want to play Birth by Sleep.
why? Why would you do that to yourself?
It's a fun game.
Is
I'm
Birth
glad-
by Sleep just what we call sleeping until 2 p.m.?
It's a
Nice.
good video game. You get big
Good
ball
game.
of fire and it kill
2
people.
No, I did
Yeah.
not have a good time.
Get to say
Oh.
farewell multiple
Right.
times in the same attack.
Were you melding your? Oh wait, it was Aqua. I'm sorry.
I did all 3 of them. I did all 3, and it was not a good time for me.
I like all 3, but Aqua's the one that like she's not fun unless you have like notes.
We got through it though.
Just very
is this the
talkative,
level with
but
the-
doesn't have many things to say.
Is
This
this
is
the one with
the-
the professor's pencil?
This is the professor's pencil. I think everyone's name is
Pencil!
shortened because I'm in streamer mode because I don't want anyone to hear the Discord notifications go off. But
I am.
now you're Sharlobun and SylvieStop. Y'all were both S. We
S
fixed
and
it.
spicy S.
That is what we determined last time, isn't it?
Yes.
I remember vaguely, kind of. Ducks. Sparks, please. You have to pick up the gems. But also, hi Train. How's it going? Spyro, please get out.
Spyro.
My friend. My pal. Yeah, so we're gonna finish Spyro today, and I'm both sad and excited for this. Sad because that means that Spyro is done, but excited because then we'll have defeated Spyro.
Yeah.
And that's cool and
And we move on to
exciting.
new video game.
Yeah! And that's exciting. Which one of y'all is going next? It sounded like it was Charlo, but I don't know if we made an official verdict.
I'm fine with Charlo doing it.
Charlotte was talking about Raymond,
Yeah.
and everyone else
yeah.
is saying, I can't think of any video game.
Yeah. This is exciting. I'm excited for this. Need all of these horrible creatures to go away. And I need one more horrible creature to get this power up to work. It's gonna be great.
Stupid
is-
creatures.
It's horrible, stupid creatures. Listen, I need them to die. And that's
That's
what I need.
So glad you're here. I'm perfectly useless without my trusty pencil, and I seem to have lost it. I do have this extra egg. Perhaps you can trade it for my pencil.
also I don't know if y'all could hear it, but grip it and rip it.
I didn't hear it.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
it.
Nope, that's fine. That's because my Discord filter kicks in. But stream could hear it. Hold on. There's too many things.
That's not even fair.
Man really just, can I offer you an egg? And he's trying to
He heard y'all were sad about not hearing a grip and rip. So, you know. Nope, I still need one more thing. Gotta kill one more thing. I'm gonna dedicate that grip and rip it just to Train. That was
Nice.
Train's grip it and rip it. I hope you enjoyed it, pal.
Rip the fucking head off!
I'm back. I was made
Welcome back.
Oh,
I
no,
was
missed
wondering
something
why you were
funny.
being so quiet.
What happened?
Well, we were talking about who was gonna go next, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be Sharlo, right?" And then we were all like, "Yeah, I think so. That sounds right." And then you said nothing, and then I
Silence is
gripped it
golden.
and ripped it, and it was dedicated to Train, and you still didn't say anything. But then you were like, "I'm back," and that's it. That's all you missed.
Yeah. And I ripped my
Okay.
fucking head off, and
And
that was...
Sylvie is going to rip the fucking head off.
I'm ripping the
Um,
fucking head off!
He did my laptop, so I was giving that to them.
Oh.
But
Hey, we
yeah,
have a
me
couple
next. I'm going to Rayman.
Raymond.
Raymond. Raymond. Please.
I love
Spyro.
Raymond.
Raymond, pretty alright.
One thing I've always used to make fun of for my own name was that like a part of my name has Raymond in it. So it's like, hee hee, I'm him.
Are you Raymond?
You also have no arms or legs, just flying hands and feet.
Please,
Only-
Rayman was my father's name. Call me Raymond.
Ah! Spyro! Spyro! It's fine.
What's he got in
Fine.
his cheeks?
He got egg.
Egg.
Egg! No, he got seed.
Oh.
Bird seed.
Oh.
I said what I said.
Not much better.
It just specifies.
Well, it's very important to know. Fuck off. To know
It's very
exactly.
important to know. Fuck off. You go fuck yourself.
Consider. Oh my god, this fucking dragon.
Why are you trying to do it from the ledge?
Cause it's funny to me.
From the
Oh,
top.
okay.
'Cause
Kind of slam jam.
If it fell all the way down, it would have been very upsetting.
That seed contained a... Wait, no, that seed grew a duck.
Yeah, a rubber duck of all things.
Nature
fine.
is beautiful.
We'll go this way. I have decided.
No.
She got her child back and then
that more
fucking
bird seed?
vomited. It is more bird seed. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
no. Children.
The amount of responsibility that carries.
Ugh.
Actually, it probably vomited because it's like a...
That's what they do to feed their
what's
babies.
what's that thing like you stuff an animal? What do you call that again? It's like a taxidermy duck.
Oh, okay. I was scared about where that was going for a minute.
I sense that.
The taxidermy was. I'm sorry. We've been talking about bird seed, so can't say taxidermy was the first thing that came to mind when talking about stuffing a thing. Hi, happy Friday, everybody.
Y'all are dirty minded.
Welcome all.
I
I
wouldn't-
stick in the head.
I would never talk about such sinful things. I would never.
Never ever.
On my Christian stream?
I was starting this Christian streaming gig and y'all are just hopping on it.
Yeah, it's very funny to me is the thing. I will never
Ironic,
give
you're
credit
getting
after
mad
that.
about more people doing Christian things.
I'm the closest to God.
Sure thing, Grandma.
Oh,
I lived in a mountain.
Snoozle!
Snoozle, don't talk to me. I'm busy. I have a turnip in my mouth.
Take this orb and
That is a
don't
sentence.
mess with our little lamp hydron, okay?
That's gonna be one drooly turnip, because they like to absorb
It's gonna be so damp.
it.
Turnips is tubers. They don't melt. Just
Would
gonna
you
be
turn it?
damp. Damp turnip.
No damp. No.
If you made a
please.
turnip damp enough, you could maybe melt it.
I mean, you would have to get it very hot too, though. Is the
Spyro
thing.
breathes fire.
But he's not doing it now.
He could. What if he sneezes?
That's where the fire comes from.
Hit turnip.
Yo. From
Hit coin.
That's how
It-
farming works.
You throw a turnip in a pot and you get money.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Where do you
that
think?
sounds right.
Where do you think our economy over here comes from? We just throw potatoes into the giant cauldron every weekend.
Oh jeez. Oh, I'm sorry, I was muting sub channels and Discord because it started pinging. Because someone told me that I had to turn stream remote up. No one told me any such thing. I just decided
told
to
you.
be nice. I did tell me. Fucking
Train
idiot.
gave you a
Fucking
direct order.
See?
You gotta put the coin.
Yeah, but does it go up there?
I don't
Does it go
think
down
so. I think
here?
it's just make a wish.
Train, what the hell? You're meant to be my bitch. What the fuck? I can't believe you. You're meant to boss me around.
Can't believe Train would do this to you.
You gotta cut off a pinky to prove you're lying.
Oh shit.
I didn't realize things were that serious here.
My God.
Pencil!
Yeah, we're all
My
missing at
pencil!
least
Of the
3
universe again.
digits
Here,
on
take this sword.
on
Laura
any
says
Like none of
given
us can
I'm going
count.
to lose
appendage.
it.
Yeah.
That's why Nem can't tell left and right. Nem's
Yeah,
lost a
yeah.
finger to do the left and right.
Lost some toes. Lost some fingers. That's all about it.
I mean, I just throw them back. It's not that hard. You just put your thumb in your mouth, blow real hard, and then foop.
Oh,
That is my
imagine.
foot. Everyone wants rabbit's feet nowadays. You just keep taking my foot off.
Lucky.
Well, apparently not for Sylvie.
I need to hop. I need my hops.
You can handstand it. You can jump with hand.
Um, see, I'm a bun, but I'm half femboy. I don't have upper body strength. That's the problem.
Well, don't worry, when you're doing a handstand, it's your lower body then.
Yeah, okay, great.
It becomes your lower body because you're at the bottom now.
And obviously the strength switches depending on how you're
Yeah.
facing.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just want that.
It's like when you put a car in reverse, it now makes the back wheel stronger.
Turbocharges the wheels at the back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ah, Spyro, a friendly face.
It's Nigel Thornberry.
Please
He
I
looks like
don't know this
the red mustached dude from Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
Forget his name, it's like Sylvester or something. Sylvester Stallone, that's it.
That's it.
Oh.
That's accurate.
Oh.
I want to see
Ah.
Sylvester Stallone and Bugs Bunny have a conversation.
The sequel to Tango and Cash.
My God.
Like if they do a remake of Looney Tunes, like the Looney Tunes, I think it's called like Back at You or something.
Back in action. With
Back in
Back in
action, that's
Action.
The
it.
mummy
Yeah.
guy.
Mummy? Was there
The
a
mummy
mummy?
guy. He's in it.
I don't remember
The
the
guy from the
mummy.
mummy.
Oh, okay, I haven't
Brendan
seen
Fraser?
the mummy.
Brendan Fraser.
Oh shit.
Brendan Fraser and Bugs Bunny on the same screen. Can
God.
you imagine?
God.
I love Looney Tunes back in action.
It's
I
such,
watched
it's
it a
such
lot
a
as a
good
kid.
movie. I adored it, but even as a kid, I hated its ending.
Is it actually good? Because I
it's
don't
it's a
remember it
very
being
good movie. It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
Killed
Now,
that
if you
fucking
want
rat.
something with like a hype, like a really good plot, no.
No.
It's just a fun time.
It's a bit of
It's a-
fun.
Yeah.
I just
It's a
I
good
want to see
time.
him develop the law of the Looney Tunes.
Deep,
One thing I'm
deep lore.
surprised is not brought up in that that cartoon is the Animaniacs because they destroy the water tower. That's like their home, right?
Well, the reason they don't bring it up is because they're fucking dead now.
What? Oh,
'Cause
the home,
they,
right.
They were in there. They were in there when it came down.
Should there be like a murder charge?
Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Also,
Looney Tunes
don't
law.
tell me the Animaniacs wouldn't survive.
This is the one time. This
Like,
was their one weakness.
I feel like if you destroy their home, they just kind of end up behind you and just say like that was cool and then bludgeon you to death.
That was neat. Okay. One more. Where
Trent's
is...
very in a Bugs Bunny. Shut.
Train saw bugs cross-dressed just one time. That was it.
I watched Space Jam. I'm into Lola Bunny. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
No, it's half
An
the
entire generation
population.
became furries. And then
Yeah.
Honestly,
Holy shit.
if we did have to like narrow it down to some like cultural event, that would be it, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
definitely up there as one of the ones.
Please. Horrible Ratman.
They're real big.
don't even like go fast. It's
They're
just
just
his legs
wiggly.
gotta be a lot longer than yours.
I'm back in business. Here,
I thought cars only had like 2 spark plugs.
It's museum quality.
Maybe he's just maybe his car is actually 2 cars smashed together.
Ooh.
Where does he plan on driving?
Away.
Nice.
There's nowhere to drive here.
I always wanted to drive a car into a swimming pool like a rock star.
Oh no.
Also, I think that this is
Straight
like
off the cliff.
the only car thing that I do know, but I think that there are some cars that have multiple spark plugs depending on how many valves are in the engine. I think. Hold on, excuse me. I have to. Oh, never mind. Somebody else did it. We had to allow "ho" to be said in chat.
It wasn't even no, it was just a typo.
How terrified of like the term spark plug do you think Sparks is afraid of?
Oh,
Oh,
He hears those
no.
words, he's like
this poor dragonfly. The things that he has been exposed to.
just by being related to Spyro.
The crimes he has
Oh, no.
witnessed.
Oh god.
That's a haunted clown.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot scream, but he must.
He has so much mouth, and he must scream.
Nice. Nice. All the jewels.
Said I finished that place. Oh, I must not have gotten everything in Winter Tundra. Okay, never mind. Right. I'm not at an even
Got
100.
7.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
you're missing 7.
Feely's missing.
Yums.
You're missing
I
7
remember.
funny magical rocks.
I remember where the funny magical rocks are. They are past the door to Ripto, and I was very
the door
upset
to
about
darkness.
that.
The door? Did someone mention the door to darkness?
Please.
I mean, you might
Oh,
have
no.
how many
Get out of here, Michael.
orbs do you need to open the door to Ripto?
Oh, I don't remember. We'll check it after this level. Sir?
You gotta
Well,
talk to
it's some
Plexi first.
consolation that you've collected
Oh,
so
yeah.
many orbs.
Pretty sure we
My
can do it,
high-tech
right? We
portals
just need
here
to
will
I mean,
take you to
probably.
cloud temples.
But,
Cloud
you know.
Temple.
This is the one with Agent Zero where you have to stalk him and it's horrible.
I'm a secret agent.
I'm a secret agent.
Don't
Okay,
tell
bud.
no one.
Oh, this one where you
I'm
go
supposed
blue.
to tell you.
You know, the QWERTY keyboard layout was specifically designed to be as inconvenient as possible, so everyone would have to type more slowly, because early computers could not keep up with people typing.
Amazing.
And now we can't go back.
It's slightly less convenient than if you just put all the letters in alphabetical order.
I used to be one of
This has
Avalon's
been
most
proven.
powerful magicians.
Holy shit.
Until that big warlock over there stole my
I need to
wand.
talk to this
He and his
man.
friends have used the magic to take over the city.
Get out of here, Alaric. I don't give a shit.
Oh my god. Kinda rude.
Well, he talks to me unprompted, and I don't like strangers. So, you know, don't talk me.
One thing I've just kind of realized, none of the enemies you fight in this game are Ripto's, like, troops or enemies. Everyone just seems to have problems until Spyro shows up.
Yeah.
Because Ripto's just got, like, 2 dudes. He just happens just to be here.
Sorry, there was a goat chasing me and I got scared. It's fine, he's dead now. Yeah, this... Listen, they keep telling me that Ripto is a bad guy, and like, sure, he's not great, but what has he really done other than kick money bags out of places? Like...
I'm pretty sure he assaulted Laura.
Did he?
I feel like got a fireball at you once.
Yeah.
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 He said he
Oh.
hates you.
Well, I mean... He's
He
incorrect.
must be murdered for this.
Says you have beef, so really he's growing on himself.
He quite literally has tried to get you murdered.
Called you longer. A real piece of shit. The
Oh
worst thing
my
you could
God.
ever say to someone,
How
really.
dare.
If we're being honest.
He said dragon smell.
No, I think the long thing tops it. That's it.
Yeah.
Gotta end him.
That long dragon.
Be weird if somebody else ever said that to someone, but you know, that would never happen. I wouldn't worry about it. Call me long, that piece of shit! Boy just went at me.
No.
Why did he do that?
He's feeling a little quirky.
They go. It's like, what did I do? Don't
Kill the
cough at
family.
me. Well, I'm gonna do that now. How dare Sparks? You're supposed to pick that up. Hey, Dragonfly.
Oh my god, there he is. I saw him.
There he.
Yeah,
The
I kind of
secret
miss
agent.
SNS too.
I mean, I can turn streamer mode back on. That wouldn't mean no one would hear, you know,
Since
Discord boop, which like it shouldn't now, but I'll do it. I'm gonna go.
No one will be able to hear them sending you random screenshots from Darkseid 2 in the background. Why is that
You know,
just
we-
me?
No, I've done it.
Just me that happens still?
You know, speaking of bunny feet.
Oh, I remember.
That's right.
secret agent.
I'm a secret agent.
I'm a secret agent.
Me after I've had one too many to drink.
Oh, petulance.
Hold on, Fudge.
I'll tell you what. I work for the government. Shh, I'm spying on you and your family.
I'm
Tell
scared.
Chi-Chi.
I am concerned and scared. Give me that.
I'm a secret agent.
Please, Sparks, you have one fucking job.
I'm a secret agent.
Members of my secret club are allowed to go there.
So is it
I'm
just
not
I'm a
leaving unless
secret
I
agent
die.
and
That's reason,
ooh I
so
ooh
you
I
can't
oh
see
now?
me.
Yep.
Is that?
I'd forgotten about that. Thank you for
How
reminding
could
me.
you forget? Okay, I'm going behind the tree.
I think it was like that. It's like, you know, when someone has a kid, their brain makes them forget the pain, so they have another. I think my brain was making me forget the pain, so I wouldn't do it again. Oh,
Fine. It's fine.
me trying to see if I'm being stalked, so I do a little spin.
I just spin in the middle of the road.
We'll come back for all these gems, I promise.
People
must
think I
ignore for
spin in
now.
my skirt to be cute. It is actually a safety measure.
I'm too fast for anyone to follow.
Sir,
No
I
one
was right behind you. This
I think it's because he actually saw you, so he shut the door.
But he hadn't even turned around yet!
Oh, you got all too close. You activated his
No.
secret agent senses.
No long people in the secret club for secret.
Oh,
I smell somebody long around here.
God damn it.
My long senses are tingling.
What's with the long face?
Oh, you son of a
That's rough.
No! I have. Oh my god.
I'm too
Too fast. Get forked. I don't understand.
Do you just beat him once you get into this little secret building?
Maybe.
Because he's like, I'm too fast for you. I closed the door. I'm so good.
I'd take headphones off there, but I guess you're right. Game was just silly.
It's just silly.
A little bit of a...
I was willing to believe it the first time, but it's happened twice now, so. You know.
Oh,
No! I go here!
What? Hold on, spin in a circle. It's like me when I think I'm being stalked.
Fuck!
Instead of just being normal, I just do weird things.
What? You managed to get here without
They're not gonna
following me?
kidnap someone that
Be a
just
member of the
flails their
Club.
arms in the middle of the road when
Secret
walking.
decoder. It will allow us to send secret messages.
I go, "Wah!" and then bend over on my floor, look down behind me, and then look back up, and then strut forward like nothing happened.
Holy shit. Okay. Well, we've done the thing.
he's a
Man was
secret
following.
agent.
He's a secret agent.
Did I ever tell you something? I'm a secret agent.
You son of a...
Gems? Gemmy gems? Shiny, precious, sweet gems?
Tasty gem.
Nom, 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 nom.
Oh.
Watch out, Charlo's eating rocks again.
Yay.
Ooh,
Juicy rock.
where are you getting juicy rocks?
You wouldn't know.
I wouldn't, is the thing.
Everyone's too cowardly to actually eat rocks. They don't get the juices inside. What do you mean that's my blood?
It's not blood. It's blue.
My god.
Oh, do you need one of those like fire rocks to blow up the yeah,
Do I?
you know, those things.
I don't think it can. I think I have to get the big explosion power.
What if?
I mean, I'll try, but I don't think it's gonna work. I shot too high. That-
Oh, god damn it.
Well, that's
You missed
rough.
now.
You can't do it, kid. I'm the but you can't do it, kid. Want the jet shot? You can't do it, kid. 'Cause I'm the best.
I mean, we can find another guy, maybe.
No, it's impossible.
No. Those are sheep. Don't get excited.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
man, she was a ram.
Same difference.
No,
Exactly the same animal.
no.
Literally identical. Also dog
Bless
is
you.
sheep.
I live on a farm where we only have sheep. I know a sheep.
I
Spyro,
also
you have
used to
freed
live
our
on a
city
farm that
from the
had
claws
sheep.
of those evil
You don't
warlocks.
remember sheep.
Please,
I
take
do
this
remember
orb.
sheep.
I foresee that it will help you,
You had
on
stupid
your
sheep.
journey.
All sheep is stupid.
True.
That means they're
true.
correct sheep, if they're stupid.
Not mental stupid. Stupid.
I'm mental stupid.
Oh.
Don't worry, you'll get better.
I'm sorry, I was trying to fill in the void of nothingness that was said after that with some kind of joke, and I couldn't think of anything but to just
You
hate
did
myself.
the worst possible thing.
You could have at the very least said like, I don't know, I'm stupid or something, not like put yourself down.
No.
No, because it would have been mean to do it to anyone else.
Yeah, then I'm the asshole, and then I have to go on Reddit later on to am I the asshole?
Oh, I would have laughed. I think it would have been funny.
Pick up gems, you
Ow.
fucking guy.
He's on fire.
And now he's just there.
Help me!
Nope.
That's not high enough.
I know.
There we go.
I'm free! I'm free!
Oh my god, Spyro!
what?
I did the thing! I did the thing where I oh my god.
Oh.
Oh.
Just twisting the knife now.
My god.
You know you can press the square button to dodge.
Oh.
You know.
Plunging the knife now.
Woo!
I don't
Nice
give a
combo, I never thought of that.
shit. Done it. Fucking did it. Hey buddy.
You don't have eyes.
Yeah, I'm just trying. Okay, now he's moving.
Oh, there's a new one.
Yeah, I was just looking at this whole situation and being like, no matter what I do, I'm not gonna be able to get over here.
That went
It's
pretty
fine.
well.
I suppose
Man
you want
move.
an orb for doing that. Well, I'm afraid not.
Yes?
There's still one
Fucking
bell
Birkin.
left. You can get to it by using the whirlwind behind me.
Use your fucking
The
whirlwind.
whirlwind behind.
Boom.
Didn't in
Okay, we'll
fact
just-
use his whirlwind.
Told him I was gonna.
Is that a whirlwind?
Audacity.
There.
Dude, that guy got a whirlwind?
Got a whirlwind.
To the left.
You're to the left.
Look, the iron thingy.
You're to the left. That doesn't do nothing.
Got it.
Bullied.
Okay. Alright. Listen here.
I'm listening.
No, that's it. That's all I had.
I just wanted your attention.
I
That's all
just
I
wanted you
needed.
to notice me.
Well, hi.
Thanks, Spyro. I didn't think you
Thanks,
could.
Spyro.
Here, have a
Thanks again,
souvenir
Spy-
from the Mystic City.
Thanks
gift
again,
shop.
Spart. Dickhead.
You fly.
Now get out of here.
Yeah, but oh, I didn't mean to do that, but that's fine.
Red. Two red.
Whoa. Two.
No.
Shoo.
No!
Oh,
Oh my god, you nearly killed a man.
It's
oh my god.
fucking dragon. Okay, you know what? He's
I
gonna
feel
have
the
to come
soul
back
leaving your body,
around.
Cage.
It's
Yeah,
not
And you
great.
get a good, yeah.
Gotta go back down, gotta come back up, but it's fine, because by the time that he comes back around, we should be fine. Please, Spyro, listen, bud, pal, my dear, lovely purple
There
friend.
we go.
Now we just have to wait here for a million years. Oh no.
Did he get frostbite?
Good.
All right.
Guy hit you midair, it would have been really funny.
It would have been. It would have been a terrible, awful tragedy. And
But
I
it also
would
would have been a
laughed.
first in Spyro history, I'm pretty sure.
You only needed the one shot. It just had to be a fire shot, not an ice shot.
We didn't use the fireball. Is that everything?
No, because we're missing some gems. Some gemmy gems. Sparks?
Did we get all the ones we said we'd go back for when we're following the secret agent?
Yes.
Okay.
The secret agent. Oh,
Sparks has done a very bad job of collecting everything.
there's only one thing.
Bad job!
That's pretty mean.
Now it's our problem.
I think Sparks is... He's quite literally green. I'm pretty sure he should be having a sick day.
He doesn't get paid days off is the thing. And he really
Doesn't he
needs
get
this
paid
job to
I don't think
feed
he
his
gets paid
family.
to begin with.
Should join some kind of union and get a cut of the gems.
His cut is the ones that go to money bags. Is the thing.
I don't think that's Moneybags' cut.
Well, it is now. Okay, get me out of here. And we're gonna check at the top of the stairs for gemmy gems.
Murderables.
For the gems behind the door, so that we
So
can have an even 100.
those poor penguins just meant nothing to you.
I needed. They needed them for my
Those
stupid
innocent
stupid
souls.
guy.
Spyro, you've got the orbs.
They weren't innocent. They committed some.
Now don't
Bad
accidentally enter the
crimes.
fight.
They were accomplices of Feathers McGraw.
Who's Feathers McGraw?
It's the bedtime Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, it's the penguin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the penguin.
I like to make deep references to Feathers McGraw.
We
from
love
Wallace
Feathers
and
McGraw.
Gromit.
Lay that track.
Ow. Really? My body is consuming itself.
Oh, jeez.
This fucking level. That man is dead.
Gone.
Destroyed.
Decommissioned.
I can't think of any other words.
Retired.
Ob-
Obsolete.
Could you find the time
Out of
to help
order.
us get rid of
Retired.
I already said that one.
Did you say retired?
Donkey!
I said I went retired.
Oh. Don't shoot me.
Saying a different
Donkey.
cadence is a different one.
That's right.
We talked
It's
about
like
this last time.
jokes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, out of order.
Only summer movies out.
What?
Only when you need to know. Only one you need to know is the wrong trousers.
Yeah,
Plus
basically.
Jim's kind of fire too.
Yeah.
Is wrong trousers the one with the robo trousers?
It's the one with the robot trousers and the one with the murderous penguin.
Yep.
I've been thinking about the robo trousers recently because of like conversation I had with a friend on stream, and
Just
it's like, you know, Eggman and it's like Egg Walker and Adventure 2. That's just Wallace with the robo trousers. You could put Wallace with the robo trousers in that game and nothing changes.
So someone's gonna be modding that, correct?
There is already a mod to replace Eggman with Wallace.
Beautiful.
They knew.
I squish a man. He is dead now.
Oh. I thought you fell. I got scared.
Nah. Listen, I'm a professional. I know how to do things
Yeah,
usually.
you might be a professional, but you know what? You know what I am?
A-
I'm a secret agent.
No, nice.
No! Fine, we got him. He's dead. He's a dead man now. And this
Murdered.
delights me. Murdered.
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 information.
Big dead.
Gone.
Womp
Evaporated.
womp.
So
Coagulated.
in Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Wallace becomes a were-rabbit and gets bitches.
Yeah.
He gets one bitch.
Okay.
It's just the one bitch, actually.
But he loved that bitch.
I love you, bitch.
The one bit.
I ain't never gonna stop loving you, bitch.
The one bitch is real.
More bitches.
Guy. There we go. What are we doing here? I don't want to do this one. I don't
This
like
one feels
chasing.
kind of ass.
Mm.
Yeah, this is like one of the bad levels.
Just, uh, just,
Bugs are making a joke of my expensive
These
robot
darn
scarecrow.
bugs.
I'm too dang tall for this cameraman.
Check out my
Yes.
crotch.
Oh God, no, sir, please. Where's HR? I have to report this.
Got it pumped last week.
Oh no.
Do you think like a robot restraining order is just a VPN?
Yes.
Yes, actually.
No, Spyro, you have to kill the bugs.
You go!
Spyro, you gotta do it, buddy. Nope, didn't jump. Man didn't jump. Are you shitting
You
me?
jumped down for some reason while in the air already.
Spyro, please. Okay, okay. You love to see it. Perfect.
Wait, why'd you say 2 out of
Why is
4?
it two?
Oh, because they came back. Because
Oh.
this is one where they come back. It's the fucking ice mites all over again. I'm
Oh,
gonna
no.
scream.
Won't be around
Okay.
anymore.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Gonna rip fucking head off.
Hammer Applejack.
Dug up yesterday.
The Applebee?
I know what I said.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. As long as you know.
Ball.
I guess we go this way.
It's all about Hooters.
Not the Hooters, please.
Which one?
Anything but the Hooters.
My new Sylvie Shack line of Femboy Hooters.
Okay,
Coming
well,
to you in
yeah.
2024. Looking forward to it.
I'm gonna be there
When
every
you get
day.
the no milkshake.
Hey, gigging up milkshake.
I love it.
Okay, but if there was a line of femboy Hooters from Sylvie, I would order it. That's the only way that you would get me to like rep
At
any
least get its
Hooters
t-shirt.
or Hooters adjacent content.
It's fine. All we need is a couple $1,000s of donations, and then we'll make a food stall, and then we'll start
Yep.
as the Sylvie stall, and then we will upgrade to the Sylvie Shack, and then we'll have our big chain of restaurants around the world where femboys can work and not feel pressured to do awful things.
Question. Can I rent out a femboy to play Beyblade with?
Yes.
Fuck
only
yeah.
if they want to.
Only
Yeah.
if
You
they
have,
can
you have a whole
Beyblade
line
or
of
Beyblade.
Beyblades.
Rip it.
But it's
Yeah,
It's
instead of a ball
base-
pit, we have a
it's-
Beyblade pit.
But it's
love
Bay
these
spelled
Hooters.
B-A-E.
Beyblade. So what? Do I just hit, wait? If it's called that, is it just two femboys spinning at each other, seeing who wins?
Yeah, we can, and then we can make a little like betting ring, and then you bet on your femboy, like yeah, more money.
All right.
Wait, can we call
Sources of
it? Can we
revenue.
call it femboy garden? So it's like chow garden. You gotta raise your femboy, make him stronger.
can coach him a little bit. Tell
Finally
him what you
end
want.
femboy oppression, and then reinstitute it when we make them fight in the Thunderdome.
There we go.
Oh my god.
I mean, I think it's a great idea.
I love
I s-
Fembo Kumon.
I see nothing wrong with this. Absolutely nothing.
Cockfighting, if you will.
Beautiful.
This sounds like a Yakuza side quest.
I mean, it almost was. Just there they had women. Here we have boys.
We got boys wearing cute clothes.
The varmints won't be coming near our crops now. Can I offer you a reward?
Gib.
Yeehaw.
Oh no.
Slowly get my ball in your mouth there, Spyro.
Excuse me?
I just
We
see
really
the
got-
orb. The orb just come out of his pants, just bouncing on the floor in Spyro's mouth.
Zip.
I couldn't hold it.
We really
couldn't
gotta
hold
talk
it
to HR about these fucking robots.
He doesn't need that. He doesn't need that ball anymore. He's gotten a new one with more RAM.
Oh, God.
Do you think you could knock him
'Cause I
down
need
with
more
a
random access to it.
supercharge?
Nice.
Oh jeez, I gotta go. I gotta leave.
Listen, you've always got to have the highest part. You don't know when another family member is going to want to interface.
Fuck. That was me. That was to me falling, not to the farmers fucking. I don't. Help.
I don't want to be around anymore.
Computers take things very literally. You said fuck, they're gonna.
I know. Please.
Okay, out of here.
I gotta go. Ah,
Not a safe place.
no, we've made it bad and dangerous here. Oh God. Ah,
Specs, you can't say that.
Spyro!
He said it with the hard bzz.
Longer. Sparks, how dare you say
Sparks, that is forbidden. You can't just say that about people.
Especially Spyro, he's really fucking self-conscious about it. Now he's asking for it.
Oh God. Excuse me. You could get over that little lip, buddy.
Ow. I laughed and it hurt.
Oh,
Well, that's not great.
oh.
Should maybe not do that. Get
I
hurt
don't
No
while
one
laughing.
say
laughing.
anything funny for the rest of the stream.
Well,
Oh, how the turntables. How the. How. Hello.
take your time.
Hell,
I don't know where I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know.
go.
Pieces. That was
I don't
great.
know.
Here, take this
Why not?
thingamajig I found in the cow pen.
Take this thingamajig.
Just keep on thrusting.
I hate that so much.
So I was just like, what the fuck am I looking at?
I need to
Like this.
not be here with these horrible, horny robots.
You just want to manufacture some new friends, that's all.
Oh god.
we somehow made this place fucking worse.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. I hate it here.
Listen, you gotta get more livestock somehow. Robot
The hit movie Robots?
I don't want to think about
no.
them doing it.
Oh,
Don't make me
God.
think about Aunt Fanny. I drink to forget. It's never enough.
I mean, that sounds like a thing that I would say, but over something like the sheep in the game are just too fluffy or whatever. So maybe?
The male fantasy of just standing on a farm thrusting for all eternity.
Can't believe it.
Woo!
This is what life would be like if we didn't have them there phones. Those 5G signals are making us lose nature.
I gotta get out of here.
Thrusting
gotta
forward and
get
back,
outta
that's
here.
what I call a TikTok. That's
I
my
gotta
favorite.
leave! We have to get out of
The
here!
only kind of vine I like is the one that grows from the tree.
Oh
no.
boy!
Look at my babies.
Can't believe they're fucking
dead.
dead.
Yo, free meat.
Don't eat those.
Eat what you can
Bye,
out here.
enjoy my balls.
Oh, God.
Enjoy my balls.
Oh my god.
We'll never speak of this again.
Woo. Fuck nuts really just taints anything with touch.
Nuts.
Don't talk to us about taint.
Oh, God.
Oh, no, I'm thinking about
I
it.
can see
Aw,
you've learned the
jeez.
value of orbs, Spyro.
Also, I think
Ugh.
this is
Games
the last
work
level
perfectly
before
with the help of
boss.
your impressive orb collection.
Then there's Dragon Shores to do, though.
Well, yeah, but that's all fun and games.
That
There was some,
extortionism.
yeah. That's how I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone from now. It's just wildly waving and go, bye, enjoy my balls. That's the thing now.
When they ask you to, like, clarify, you turn around and start walking away.
Yeah, just absolutely will not.
The goodbye has happened. You no longer have to speak.
It's true.
He has a bomb. Oh, this
It's fine.
society seems. Oh, I love these robots. They're adorable. They ruined
These
them in Reignited,
robots.
but they sound really cute here.
These robots are fine.
I want to hear them talk. They ruined the voice in Reignited, but they're great here.
This insurrection from the farms has got quite out of
Yeah.
hand. We need someone to restore order.
We'll do
Find
some-
the inventor droid.
We'll do
He's
someone
been
to
working on
restore
something
order.
big.
The farmer's balls have become trouble.
Oh god.
We'll not destroy them.
With
Too much
No.
ramen
budget
there
cuts,
now.
these elevators
Oh, no.
need serious work. See, this one here is stuck. I expect
Oh, sorry, buddy.
I expect the woodworkers to give it a good smack.
Swap. I can't move while I'm on here, and I hate that. I just want
Both
to
keep your
wiggle.
hands and legs inside the elevator at all times.
No! I won't be
Calm
contained!
Jesus Christ. We're gonna try to throw an ante. Oh my god.
Yeah, that kind of hurt. It's fine.
Why do we have terrorist livestock?
Well, they're tired of being eaten, you see?
Alright, and I'm hungry.
Well, eat
We're
someone
gonna have
else.
to fight. No.
Never.
This is
I
why the cows
refuse.
never came home. Spyro got to him. Ouch. Ouch.
He had a craving.
Jeez.
That resuscitates him. Wallace confirmed immortal.
My god. Not
Oh, yeah,
this
that
one.
scene where he gets like the rabbit thing attached to his head used to terrify me as a child.
We thought that freezing the walkway would keep animals out. The ox is very tough. I advise using the bombs against it, and it'll probably take several bombs at that.
The oxen takes so many bombs.
Yeah.
Why can't it even survive one bomb?
Why is cow bomb-proof?
Why is
Please.
Spyro not bomb-proof?
Cow stronger than dragon?
Please!
Why?
It's so hard to move!
Oh,
you've
there's
played
a lot of
hockey
bombs
before.
going.
Oh yeah. Multi-ball.
Multi-ball?
I'm
Oh
dead.
god.
Arrogant trick shot.
Just
Jimmy
wanted-
hit you.
Just wanted to show off how cool I was. Did it work? Do we think I'm cool now?
Alright, I can confirm, Icon, we got blinking eyes. We got blinking eyes in the house, people.
Oh no.
I'm glad that trend continues.
An ox can judge you.
Fuck! No,
Like this
Spyro.
completely straight line strategy. Never mind, I hate this completely straight line strategy.
This is horrible. It's bad here.
That's the butter.
Just...
That's good.
Spyro, we gotta talk about how bad we're doing.
Have you never seen ice before?
Haven't else town.
Oh no.
Who's gonna put you on ice?
There we go. Horrible
Excellent
ox.
work, Dragon.
Yeah, you
We
can't
can now
jump
defend
while
our
you're on
city
the
properly.
ice. No
Take
matter
this
how many
visually
times you hit
pleasing reward.
X. The ice says you live here now, and it's horrible. But it's fine. We've done it, and it's done. And Sparks got to eat, so that's exciting. Love that for our buddy. Please. Please.
Whoa!
Whoa.
That's a good sound.
The YYO or the pigs getting scorched?
I meant all the gems being picked up, but these are all pretty good
Oh.
sounds.
Yeah.
To be fair, there were a lot of noises
There was
happening.
lots of sounds, yeah.
These are a good sound.
Good noises.
Good. Happy.
There
How
we
does cow
go.
pull trigger without Finkor?
It's modified for hoof.
How move hoof?
I mean, hoof
Get
move.
fingers.
Hoof no move.
It do.
Not willingly.
I mean, kind of. They can flex the muscles in their little feetsies to make
I don't
them
believe
move.
you.
Thank you for your efforts.
Well, I guess you just don't know cows.
Please take
I know
this
cow.
medicine.
Neighbor have
Even
cow.
creatures seem to like it.
Well, you don't know cow.
That's cow.
Cows are stupid.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
They're big dog.
It's a
Big
first
stupid
for
dog.
Avalar, a combination
No.
power-up. Thank goodness you're here to test
All I know
it
how to
out.
do is
These
eat and poop.
invading sheep in their spaceships must be stopped.
No.
Yeah.
You can teach cow to do trick.
You can teach anything to trick.
That requires a level of
That teaches
intelligence.
sheep to do trick.
You
It
cannot
requires
teach.
it requires repetition until you trick them into doing it forever. You can be stupid and do trick.
Yeah. Look at me.
Sylvie's bad.
Somebody get the spray bottle.
I knew it was coming. It was ready.
Someone just say something.
Knew it was coming. But then I was like, wait, I could have said something and jumped in the way.
Yeah.
And blocked that.
I gave plenty of time for blocking.
Yeah.
I did.
It
I
was
just-
a respectful
one
amount of
blocked.
time. We all just dropped the ball.
The thing is, Sylvie doesn't have to pull that trigger.
Sylvie has to pull the trigger.
I have to.
You don't.
I'm something of a streamer myself.
So am I. I didn't do it.
Oh, because it was Sylvie's.
I knew it.
It's my gun.
Your name literally has the instructions on what you should do in this scenario.
Excuse you, invisible wall. Sparks, you could have grabbed that, buddy. Here's the thing.
Ooh!
Here's the thing.
Bzing!
No, anything but that.
Spark is such a big fan of that show. He loves it.
Well, that would explain why Sparks is not my
This is
favorite.
why he's on a. This is why he's on a low pay grade.
Good. It's what he deserves.
Mark just loves the accuracy, okay? It's so real.
Yo, he loves watching a TV show where you say a joke and everyone stares into the void for 10 minutes.
Let's just get up here real fast. I could take care of these flying saucer sheep, or hear
Keep
me
it
out.
interesting.
We just
That
get
was the newborn!
well.
Well,
Now it's
Technically,
the-
it's only like
newly
half
dead.
born.
Now it's unborn.
Oh.
Recently deceased.
Well, he was delicious. I assume.
You didn't need him.
See,
He
I'm
was
not
the
the one
underpaid worker.
who. I'm not the one who craves child flesh. It's Sparks
You
here.
just crave child murder.
No, but I do give what needs to be given.
Sparks
Very
eats
willingly.
babies and is a huge fan of the Big Bang Theory, and personally, I don't know which it was.
I would rather know
Impossible to
someone was
say.
a murderer than they like Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Because at least, you know, if they're murdering things to eat them, at least it means they have taste.
Oh,
Oh!
okay. Didn't know I could do that. That was neat.
Sorry, you giggle. Oh, and that tickled me so much.
Spaceship thought he was so cool.
Nice flying, airman. You've proven the genius of
I think you're so cool. Let's see you survive a head-on collision.
Fucking headbutt him into oblivion.
This lady has a lot of balls.
Yeah, her eyeball also keeps disappearing every time she moves her head.
I think she might have taken that one out. That's a fake one.
Huh.
It's on the fritz, you could say. Did you get every gem?
No, I don't think I did. I was trying to turn around, is the thing, and then Spyro said, no, we're going
No,
through the portal.
They have that sign set to M for mini.
Oh,
You should've said it to
W for
W.
Wombo.
You should have set it to W for holy fuck a truck.
Oh, you missed some change in there.
yeah,
Hmm?
There's a couple little bits.
that's...
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
That's what we were talking about. We were gonna go get him,
Oh.
and then Spyro said, we're going through the portal, actually. And I was like, oh, can we not? And he's like, no,
Now the
fuck
level's
you.
gonna repeat.
Yeah. So that's
Maybe there's rocks right behind you.
no.
It's behind you. Where?
This is fine.
Don't lie to us.
Well. Ah! It's fine. It's fine. I'm telling ya.
You blow up a lot.
sometimes.
Ah!
Right. I need...
Left.
What?
There's a ladder.
Yeah, that goes up to the ox.
Not left.
I think I need to get down here with the fly and explosive move. I think.
I've had Tempt open this whole time. We're looking at it. What are we doing?
But I do need to kill things in order to do that, don't I? Fuck. Ouch.
Oh!
It's fine. Listen! It's fine!
Oh!
Yeah.
Listen.
I gotta stop doing that. It hurts my stomach.
You shit. Stop it.
It's funny though.
Oh,
It is funny.
Maybe it's worth it.
No, it's not.
How do you know? You're not the one in pain.
The funny isn't worth the pain, though.
Laugh through the pain. Ow.
Laughter is in fact not the best medicine. This has been found by modern science. Medicine is the best medicine.
There we go.
But if laughter is a medicine, therefore laughter is best.
I'm gonna say no to that.
How could you?
there we go. And then we exit level.
My grandmother died due to lack of laughter. Laughter would have saved her.
Well, sounds like a personal problem. Has she considered laughing
skill
more?
issue?
Yeah.
She considered being funny.
Sorry, Grandma. L.
Get good, Grandma. Alright. It's time to go beat up Ripto.
Stinky old lady.
All right, Spyro.
Laura, I know.
Oh,
I
right.
know I have
Hi,
some
Laura.
alerts.
The dragon. I Ripto.
We're gonna do it.
His scepter looks like when you've had a lollipop for a bit and it's like really small.
Yeah!
Come back here, you useless animals!
Hey, Shorty. Maybe I can help.
What? You again?
Yep. If you want to test that power crystal, why don't
Maybe
you
a
try it
couple
on
of
me?
sheep
I'll
were.
stand still. I promise.
I like that idea.
I
Ripto, you
like
idiot.
You just sealed your fate.
I should stop drinking my water.
Ripe to.
Spyro, we want to help you fight Ripto. Elora is using the orbs you collected to store. Hunter will throw the powered-up orbs to you as they become ready. Even as we speak, the professor is experimenting with new forms of power-up energy, so you'll soon have abilities that no one has ever seen before.
You okay? Think so?
You lied. You said you'd stay still and take it. What the fuck?
Yeah, I lied.
I lied.
It's called lying, idiot.
You fucking guy. Other orb? More?
Morb.
Where is man? Oh god, I'm very bad at aiming.
You felt him off him.
Orb.
You fucker.
Ow.
Please, sir.
I want to kill that sheep.
I want it. I want sheep.
We'd have to kill every sheep we meet.
I do though.
Why didn't Spyro start picking up the orbs and being helpful?
Too heavy. The big.
Yikes. Okay, he can have that one. That's fine.
He only needs one morb.
Well, he doesn't get it.
Well.
Okay, we got this. It's fine. Where orb? No, that's my orb. Sir, you can't just do this. Please. I don't understand! It's fine. Well, he's gonna be big and gassy now. Please. Listen. He's being very rude! How does... It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Fine.
We tried running Serpentine. Oh jeez, you saw the whole thing again.
Yep.
Oh, that is rough.
Gotta do it all over again. Oh god.
Could happen. This is what all those Spyfall lives were for.
Oh wait, he got that orb. You didn't. I thought you did.
No, he was very rude about it. It's fine. Please,
Oh.
sir. I'm very upset about the lack of being able to avoid his moves.
Good hits.
Sir!
Do seem to lead his shot.
A misfiring system.
Very big.
I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna fucking scream.
No! He looks so smug when he dies. Doesn't
Yeah.
use an extra life.
Can't see anything.
Trouble with the dino, eh?
Please.
You tried pressing square to block.
Oh god.
You tried holding square to charge.
This song is reminding me of Crypt of the Necro Dancer.
Listen, the merchant just has to go hog wild sometimes, you know?
Hell
Just
yeah.
really feeling the music. Stop running away, you bastard! Why were you running over here? Found it. Found orb. Found other orb.
There isn't there a sheep somewhere to the left?
Yeah, but there's also orbs everywhere.
Two sheep.
Well.
Oh.
This is fine. We're doing great.
This is easy. You got this.
First try. Let's go.
Just for babies.
For little babies.
No!
Oh, he's got bubbles. Dance, Lana, dance.
Okay. Now to just not get hit ever.
Yeah.
Oh, you had the thing for like 1 second when it started. You had the big bullets. Remember that for next time. If you
Thanks,
have a lot of
Hunter.
power of timer left, it stays.
Hunter's so
Fuck!
cool.
Move
dropping
your
them
stupid
next to him.
fucking foot! Sorry.
God damn.
Mean and rude, and I hate him. I can't see what's happening. It's just things on the screen. Well, charge isn't really what I want, but we'll take it. Fuck.
A little tricky to aim that one.
Well.
Oh, he's blue.
Oh. You piece of garbage.
No.
This is
No.
No, stop giving him to him.
fuck.
What is this guy doing, Noah?
That's Jeremy.
Tell Jeremy to go home. He's got the day off.
He's covering for his friend.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
Time for phase 3.
Oh, why you?
I didn't think there was actually a phase 3.
There is a phase 3.
I have this bad feeling that there is no checkpoints for this phase.
No,
There
you,
is
if you die, you have to start all over again.
You got this. You got this.
You don't have to do that many hits, and they do put you back to full health for this phase, though.
That's nice.
Yeah, so like, but they're nearly already half done.
Ah!
With dragon firing fireball stuff just reminds me of like Star Fox Legends. Ugh.
Do a barrel roll.
Hey, I can't see it to see you win the whole game.
Hi,
All
arcade.
100 phases.
I don't know where he
All
is.
100 phases.
All hundo of them.
Crying. Crying so much.
He's gonna be on the left of the castle. Okay, well,
No.
that's
Left,
very
left, no, no,
left.
left.
There we go.
Well
Bye-bye,
done.
Ripto.
Second, third try? First try.
Third try.
First try.
First try.
Yeah.
First try.
To this day, they're still adding new phases into this boss fight.
Horrible.
Just patching them in.
But yeah, hi arcade. How are you doing? Sorry, I was very, very focused on beating Ripto.
Where's Moneybags here?
It's gonna give us our money back, one way or another.
Whoa!
You got a kissy.
Ew.
Smooch.
Cuties.
Lady fun germs.
I most certainly do not.
Screw this, I'm going to Femboy Hooters.
Oh, fate worse than death.
Bags is very sorry that it made you pay so much on your way through Avalar. We want you to keep the gems as a reward for helping us.
Wow, thanks. Sparks, can you grab them? Let me just
It
type
is
in
Dragon
the new
Shores time. Let's
coordinates
fucking
and
go.
There! Spyro, you can now go to Dragon Shores.
Hey, why don't you guys come with me? I bet you could use a holiday.
I'm afraid we can't, Spyro. Ripto may be gone, but he caused a lot of damage during his short stay. We'll be cleaning up for weeks. Just remember, though, that you can always get back
Sounds
to
like a
Avalon
you
from Dragon
problem.
Shores if you want to visit.
Well, okay. Come on, Sparks. We've got a lot of vacation to catch up on.
Let's go! Thanks,
Woo!
Brian.
Cheers, Brian.
Good job, Brian.
Thanks, bud. How are you doing? Thank you for the bits. I appreciate it. Well, we did it. We beat
Yo,
Game.
it's gnarly Nork.
Gnarly.
Well done,
Gnarly Gnork. It's
Nope, never
Gatekeeper
mind. It's
Gniles.
Gatekeeper Gniles. Wait, do all their names start with she?
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
my
they do.
God, I
If
didn't
you
remember
pay 10
this.
tokens, you can visit our theater.
Great.
Yay.
Well,
Welcome to the Dragon Shores.
Gnigel.
Here at the shores, we don't just ride them.
Yo, man,
If you can pop
Gnigel.
all the balloons on the track, a
Step
token
right
is
up.
waiting for you.
trouble with the
Ready?
trolley, eh?
Cavalry.
Anything for the trolley, dear.
Whoa.
Oh,
Sometimes you just gotta jump. And that's fine. Sometimes you feel like jumping.
You ever just jump?
Why are there babies on the track?
Well,
Where else
here's
are you
the
gonna put 'em?
thing.
Good
Everyone's
job,
gotta be
Dragon.
somewhere.
Here's a
I guess. You have a point there.
Let's
Putting the
go.
trolley
Alright,
problem
I'll
into
flip
practice.
This switch and now you can cross more tracks. See if you can pop the balloons on these tracks too.
I don't want to Gnigel.
Or
You get
Listen, pal.
tokens for the new ones too.
Yeah.
50.
Oops.
Well,
It's fine. I got too excited and I just wanted to jump.
I don't think it loops though, does it?
Does it not? I thought it did.
Maybe it does. I could be stupid.
Because, like, there's multiple tracks and you have to choose which one you're going on.
Oh, I'm dumb.
Not dumb. Just don't remember.
Yeah, cause I'm dumb.
No.
Yeah.
Let's get... Did I get the one that I missed?
You did.
Okay,
Where do
good.
we go? Somewhere else.
Find the babies.
Mine's the step. Loopity loop.
There's a loop-de-loop. You get to go wee. You're
I
not allowed
love
to jump
Sonic the Hedgehog.
at this point, which makes me very sad. Game, it's almost like you want me to kill that child, and I don't think that's correct.
You were okay with killing children earlier.
Well, that was for Sparks. These children would gain me nothing.
Except the pure joy of ending another.
Spax is a bad influence.
Oh, okay. That one was a
Oh.
jump.
It didn't look like it.
Did not look like a jump, but it's fine. It's the last balloon.
He's
And
not
we jump.
jumping.
hey, not bad. Here's another
Thanks,
token.
Nigel.
Now get ready for the 100
There's
balloon
one
one.
more run, and you're
Oh.
on a
Oh, God.
roll.
Wait,
There's
what?
a cannon in
You gotta do cannon. There's balloons very far away sometimes, and you gotta do a
Wait.
shoot.
How many?
Just 50.
Oh. So I don't remember Dragon Shores very well.
It's because by the time you get to here, you just kind of like turn your brain off like entirely.
Cause like, I don't really care about Dragon Shores, because the benefit it gives you is only good if you plan on doing the exploit to have it for a new game plus.
Oh.
Which I'll admit is pretty fun to play.
No!
No! I gotta do this all again.
Yeah, well, we get to
Go
do the
around
loop-de-loop again.
A whole other time. Break the loop.
Good. There we go.
Imagine if you missed again.
I would have cried. I would have been very upset. But we did it, so I don't have to cry, and I don't have to be upset. And I love that for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure that I was gonna make that one.
Spyro, watch the camera.
No!
Don't hit the
Let them
camera.
move.
Man. Don't hit the camera.
Wait,
Wait,
Let
where
them
is
move the
it?
babies off the track when they gave Spyro a gun.
Okay, let's not just jump around. As fun as it is.
You missed, pal.
Yeah, I know.
You missed one.
There we go.
Hey.
We just ends.
Wow, you're a net.
Yeah. Just so you're done now.
Here's my last token.
I won't see you around here again.
Good night. Goodbye, Gunigel. I have to go and be away from your very bad video game.
Good night, Jill.
Good night, Gunigel.
Go on.
Free.
This is
You
Gnorm.
pay no money down and make no
Hi,
monthly
Norm.
payments. In return, I'll give you one token.
No, sorry, good Norm.
One is all I can
Why are
give.
some of those
You can
people
buy
on the
as many
tunnel of
times as you
love with
like.
babies?
That's a good question. I think we need to call the police.
I think we need to shut this place
Hop
down.
aboard, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those two.
Just hanging out.
Yeti made a friend.
Oh, yo, he's very happy.
He's a
secret agent.
I'm a secret agent.
Lesbians.
Good for them. Good for them. Bad killer. Yo,
Lady,
Spyro.
where did you come from?
Here's your token.
Ma'am?
When you have 10
Damn.
Hello?
Listen, it's not unheard of for people to get off in the middle of a dark ride. She needed a way to get back
Garfield ride all
out.
over again, oh no.
God. Not the Garfield dark ride.
I hear you.
Listen, there was a secret agent in there. Why
Garfield's
can't
nightmare.
just because we have a secret agent, we can also have a secret lover.
True.
Oh.
My new Spyro theory. Spyro gets bitches.
Just gonna... This is fine.
Those dogs didn't
Nice
stand a
shooting.
chance.
Here's a token.
Not at all.
Nice shooting.
I have to
Ready
do
for the
this so
next
many
round?
times. No, Gnelson, I don't
Holy
wanna.
shit.
Okay, I'll set the timer for you.
If you don't do it in 10 seconds, I'll wring your neck.
The new
Well.
game plus Gnelson percent run.
We did it.
Knowing how Spyro speedrunners are, it's probably a speedrun category to see how fast you can do these challenges.
Oh, jeez.
Ready for the next round?
Keep reading Showman as Snowman. It's Snowman Gnelson.
Okay, I'll set the
It's
timer
hot as
for you.
shit in here, I'm gonna melt.
Poor guy.
If you can beat all the challenges before I melt, I'll give you a token.
Or consider, let him melt, and then steal the
Good shit,
token
yeah.
off his body.
Impossible, I make them myself.
Oh, jeez. I don't want this token anymore.
Right.
Too late, it's
Why
yours.
does-
It's a big responsibility.
Spyro could simply murder all of these horrible creatures and loot the corpses.
Hey, whoa, now that's
Thus
racist.
acquiring all the tokens in record time.
You don't have the
Shit.
G-Pass, you can't say mean things about them.
Step right up, Spyro, and
It's
take a
Considering
Showman
this is where all the
Gunning.
Norks are, would this be considered the
Inside this
G-spot?
here booth, You'll find
Oh,
some
God.
of the most vicious creatures you've ever seen.
It's where they all hang out.
Here's
It's
a
true.
baseball to spit sport. Take aim.
Gib.
Is he wearing a belt?
Yes.
He got belt but no pants.
Telling you with baseballs is what it's doing.
I mean, the lower half of him does look to be textured differently than the top half. Maybe he's just wearing flesh-colored pants.
He's drawn on the impression of a belt in Mecca.
He had a belt earlier and now there's an indent on his skin. He can't get it out.
Just want to see this man drown. That's all.
Bullseye.
Fucking
Everyone's
dead.
done this.
This is
It's kind of
pretty
fucked
easy,
up.
isn't it? Have another one of these tokens.
Oh, did actually get another token for that?
Yeah, this is where you get the last 3 tokens.
Oh.
Oh,
It's just so you can watch characters drown. That's it.
this is sick.
Wow,
Video
you
games
really
is
are a great
sick.
shot.
This is the
Take
devil's
Video
work.
game violence.
Here we go. All tokens got.
Is there a new person in the dunk tank though?
The Yeti again.
Nah, it repeated.
Tragic. Friend?
Well, Spyro, it's your lucky
Showman
day.
Guned.
You managed to win enough tokens to enter the famous Dragon Shores Theater. Go on in and enjoy the show.
Just lets you
Thanks.
rewatch cutscenes. It's not that cool.
Yup.
It kind of sucks as a reward.
But we have done it. It's happened. And no dragons. Wonderful. What is boo?
Ooh.
It's him scaring. It's Ripto scaring moneybags, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There's still one other reward here though.
Is there?
Yeah. Do you not know?
Oh wait, is it for like getting all the gems and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing worthwhile here.
It's the
I
forever
think it's
power
the
up.
dunk tank.
Is it?
Is it? Yeah, that door.
Yeah. There it is. We found it.
You mean the only thing worthwhile? We can drown whoever we want here.
And now you can just do this forever and ever. And I think like, if you just like get this ability, then immediately like quit and make a new save, you can just have it throughout an entire playthrough.
Dang. I
It's
could
really
see
fun.
how that would make the game go by very easily.
Yeah, it's cool.
But that's it. The Spyro. We've done it.
That's Spyro.
Oh, wait.
The 100%ed it. Just
Let's go.
Look at
First try.
that. I
Beautiful.
don't want to look at skill points. We're not talking about skill points. That's
That
it.
feel
That's...
good of completion brain looking at all the hundos.
Right?
Oh god, it scratches that itch so good.
That's a lot of loot.
It's
But
one
you
reason
haven't
why...
gotten any of the gems in this level. It said you have 0 gems.
Yeah, well...
What does Sparix have to say if you ask him where the gems are?
Absolutely nothing.
Huh?
Yeah.
Spark says,
Ooh.
But yeah,
Right.
we've
He
done
points at like the pocket of one of the Norks.
it.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I thought that was gonna take us a smidge longer than it did, but we did it.
No, it was only the last area.
Yeah.
I thought
I don't
it'd
know,
be
maybe
a
it's-
speedway.
No. Well, there was, but we finished that one ages ago. It was like one of the first ones that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I want to be done with these. I
Right.
want to be done. It was the Canyon Speedway with the Rams and shooting all the balloons, and it was just noise the whole time. That was a thing. But yeah, does
Thank you
anybody
for
have
showing
anyone
this.
online? Yeah, of course. This was delightful. It was very nice to play a game that I liked during one of these streams.
I enjoyed it. I loved every time you would start by doing a little 360 spin when engaging conversations.
Listen, He has to get in the right position. Very important.
You gotta get in the exact right talking spot. Otherwise,
It's
how do you
true.
feel?
Checks out.
But yeah, does anybody have anyone online? Because I literally have no one right now.
Not really.
Oh, I'll check. I doubt I do though.
Because if not, we'll just.
Maybe is anyone playing Birth by Sleep?
We're not doing that. I can't do that.
I got
Not
nobody.
Okay. Well, in that case, we just won't do a raid.
You sure there's
that's-
loads of people playing Birth by Sleep?
Yeah, I'm sure. Thanks. I don't want to go into somebody's stream and be like, "Hey, I fucking hate this game. How are you doing?" That's okay. We don't have to raid every time. But yeah, that's Spyro. And next week we'll do Raymond on Charlo's stream.
Oh, me!
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you.
Raymond,
You're
Raymond, Raymond.
You're
Yeah,
next.
I'm looking forward to it.
Woohoo! But yeah.
I've never
yes.
done a fuck nut stream.
You're gonna do it now.
That's a lot of pressure.
You're gonna fucking do it.
I'm good at.
You're gonna
fuck nut it.
fucking nut. Do it. Okay, I think we're gonna end stream now. Thanks everyone for being
streamed
here.
that? You were still rolling?
Yeah, of course I was.
Oh no!
All right, goodbye, friends. We'll see y'all
Bye,
later.
friends.